Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second session of season two of Coffee with Ashish. And today we've got a very special guest with us, Sankalp Agrawal from Travel Triangle, who's the co-founder and CEO. And before we get into conversation with him, as always, just reminiscing the conversations we have had. Sankalp, we have had over 50 sessions in season one, and now season two has started. And we have spoken to various industry leaders in the travel and tourism ecosystem. And I think one of the interesting journeys which we have seen across organizations and travel intermediaries in this ecosystem is, uh, there was a lot of mistrust before technology came into place between travel agents, travel intermediaries, and the users in terms of what was committed by the travel agent and what they actually experienced. And on the same, in the same breath, what the travel agents expected customers to do for them and how sort of their behavior changed when travel moved more and more online. I think that sort of mistrust and mismatch of expectations has been extremely evident. And through the use of technology, many people have tried to solve that problem. And I think I have a small cartoon to just capture that emotion. So on the left is that mistrust where a lot of customers ultimately moved towards online and still wasted a lot of time of travel agents portraying as a potential lead, but they're not converting because then they move on to online for conversion. And on the right side is the mistrust on the agent side, wherein a lot of expectations were set while selling a particular holiday product. And when you actually go and experience it, the experience was far from what was anticipated. So I think that mistrust was one of the biggest reason how technology helped in creating that transparency for all the travel intermediaries. And I think one of the companies which has really successfully done that for both the stakeholders, the customers and the travel agents in a B2B network is, I think, Travel Triangle. And I was reading Sankalp and his co-founder story, and I think it's really amazing for those of you who do not know that it's also one of those cliched stories where the founders themselves experienced a certain problem a decade back when they were traveling as friends together to a late trip, and they experienced that same issue in terms of that information arbitrage, price arbitrage for a similar destination, similar product between different travel intermediaries, and how they then use that problem to not live with it, but they actually solved that problem and created Travel Triangle in 2011. Over the course of last 10 years, they have raised funding from SAF partners, Bessemer, to the tune of 60 million and above. And the platform has grown phenomenally. And I think the key differentiator between Travel Triangle and other platforms that you've seen is the way they have also targeted not just tier one cities, but tier two, tier three town cities, where they're helping them through analytics to identify the genuine customer and make sure that the time of a small travel, because we all know that travel agents in tier two, tier three towns are like 1, 2 member staff member team, right? They cannot work on weak leads. So helping them to identify the targeted lead is something they help on the travel intermediary side. And on the customer side, I think the number of options they give on their platform, that's something which is extremely beautiful. And the use of AI in the entire fulfillment process, quality assurance, making sure that the traveler gets the best deal in return. And in fact, I must also point out, because personally, I spend a lot of time in researching on artificial intelligence. I think Travel Triangle's chatbot on their website was one of the first real tangible chatbot which really worked, which I saw almost 2 years back, compared to all even some of the largest OTAs. I think Travel Triangle chatbot is something which I've seen that really works. So kudos to the team on being always leading the edge with the new emerging technologies. And Sankalp, our guest today, is IIT alumni. So we share that same thing, Sankalp. Really proud of our alumni doing such wonderful things. And he has been, and sort of an entrepreneur for the last 10 years, building this team from scratch up. And the entire network that he has created through Travel Triangle is something to really admire and appreciate. So with this, a very warm welcome to you, Sankalp, to our show. We are really pleased and privileged to have you with us to have this conversation. And I'm going to now pass it on to Ashish to have a conversation with you while I sit back and enjoy my coffee.
Sankalp,
Hey Ashish.
hi. How's your coffee?
So coffee is going really good. I think it keeps me awake,
Right.
during lockdown periods and unlock periods to like work really hard, to bring the travel companies back and help them out.
Right. No, and I have always viewed you as a very innovative kind of a guy, and I've watched your journey. But that's a separate matter. And I have you on the show here today for what you represent in the industry in combination. So therefore, your views in what you represent will be very defining. So let's just look at the holiday trends and forecasts going forward, both in the short and medium term. What kind of holidays do you see people coming back, the models and all that? Let's just have a overview of
So So yes, so I think that's a great question, because given the fact that how travel is moving, these trends keep on changing and everyone has to adapt after the corona to a post-corona world. And in
it.
that post-corona world, it is important to know what customers want, what travelers are looking forward to, and how they are segmented across various parts, right? So if you were to ask me, right, so there are if we draw a scale, right, so on the left we can write people who are extremely restless millennials, and on the right, extreme right, you can plot up the guys who are pretty much old and conservative about going outside because corona is impacting them, the largest, and everyone is in between. And as the corona impacts are coming and becoming more clear, the people on the left are traveling more and more, and the crowd on the right is moving towards traveling more, right? So
Right.
that's how it is happening. And then as the corona's impact is being understood by the people, analyzed by the people, right? So they are trying to adjust travel into their daily work, right? So for example, people are taking vacations at this point of time where they are saying, okay, we can go to Ranikhet and take a house for a month itself, and then spend time out there to or a Airbnb or a hotel, right? And then spend time out there to work from there completely. Or the families are saying that we have never stayed together at a resort for a long time, so we will go in the outskirts of the city and do a resort. The honeymoon couples, for example, are now, as the international destinations are opening up, are eyeing predominantly the Maldives, which is out there, which is the most prevalent destination right now. So they are saying, okay, we'll go in Maldives, we'll travel for once in a year or once in 2 years because Maldives being expensive, but it's the best destination which we can go to right now. So all of these trends are coming in where the people who are less conservative about Corona are picking up and traveling. And last but not the least, all of the domestic travel is picking up. The weekend getaways, people are driving to the locations nearby them, right? So people in south, people in north, people in east or west side, they're all traveling to the nearby places, or in the top right, they're traveling to the nearby places, going to a good property where they are convinced about that this is corona safe property, all the checks and balances are there, and having a good time out there. So that's how we are seeing the trend shaping up, and then all the companies are taking directions and work in that steps in that direction to get the revenue generation kicking up.
So that's in the short term. What do you see it in the medium term? Do you see this continuing the same trends?
So I think the medium term, it will be destination specific. The destinations which will open up in a new aspect. So people who would like to take risk in those destinations will be the one who can maintain those risks. So that will how it will work.
Right.
But if you will talk about destinations, for example, Maldives, right, or let us say Himachal, which will grow during the OND season very much. So these destinations will pretty much become the standard destinations out there, right? Just like it's any market in Delhi or in Gurgaon, right? So Mall Road on Shimla will be equally occupied, right? In
Right.
the
Right.
OND season, because people will be out there to see snow, everything out there, right? So that will just travel, and then it will become the standard commercial destinations out there, and people will learn how to travel through Corona.
Right. And the travel industry is, predominantly being a very unorganized industry, smaller agents, scattered travel agents across for distribution. I mean, how do you see the ability to cope up with the current times and future time,
So
both in
I
terms
think
of the risks, yeah, and cash flows, opportunities, and
So I think travel agents. If you talk about the small agents and the medium agent side, so they had done a lot of bookings before the Corona time, right? And I
yeah,
think a lot of these bookings are now getting rescheduled right now. So some cash flow is coming back to them as customers are willing to pay the rest, and they have also played to the airlines, and that could be used by the customer so that the old cash flow can be used up. while that is happening, also the good part with these guys is that they have lower cost structures, right? So and then they have a very strong control over their cost structures, right? So if the business is not coming, they can reduce the workforce immediately and take swift actions, which has enabled them to survive through this period. And this last 4 5 months have been pretty much tough for them. But now I think as the market is opening up, they are seeing some business coming in. They are ready to hire few more guys out there so that they can take advantage of the season and grow their business while some of the old trips are being rescheduled. So that's how it is happening with them on the daily basis. For the agencies who were mid to big, who had like 35 employees to let us say 100 employees, they had also shrunk themselves up predominantly because all the cash flow was stopped as no travel was happening to a
Right.
team size of 5 to 6 people. Now they are also seeing that, as these small travel agents to them whom they would have booked something for, or they would have given them property, etc., are now ready to pay. Right, market is opening up, hotels bookings are happening, and hotels are also uh, giving cash, not just credit notes. So all of that is now starting to happen, which is bringing in more liquidity into their company, hence enabling them to spring back to action and again grow their staff and grow from that point onwards. So that's for like medium to big agencies on what is happening with them. But all in all, it's a time when everyone has to cooperate and go together. And Corona is a flattening base, so it has brought all the businesses to a zero, and
Yeah.
everyone has to grow together. The relationships will happen and things will happen, and it's not just the short term thing which we have to think. People have to take a 5 year view now, and
Mm.
people who will survive through this 5 years will naturally come out as large winners because they have all the work done for years, etc., which will help them to rebuild their businesses in a new way onwards.
Right. So I know you've been uh, an advocate of vernacular for a long time. I remember hearing you sometime. But actually, a European told me in a very startling way recently. He said, "Look, India is so many European countries in one." And he says your inbound tourism for over the years, the government has advocated brochures being in German, Spanish, and all the European languages when promoting inbound. He says, but I haven't quite understood why the extent of forget about digitalization for a minute, that languages are not being recognized when terms of reaching out to the customers in terms of travel perspective. And, Gujarati for one, are big travelers, right? So therefore now, and we've also talked about the next billion internet users, etc. So two questions in one. Why haven't the industry, woken up earlier to vernaculization? And had it, perhaps we would have had a larger base today than we ever had. Or will it wake up now? What do you see?
Sure. So I think if you think, I think the smartphone is a great leveler, right? I think the smartphone penetration has increased to the even to the last person in the country, right? So that's how it is happening. And what we are seeing is that vernacular platform. There are a lot of vernacular platforms which are coming up, vernacular, and a lot of things are coming through video, right? People have imagined that the text would be the interface where people will learn to write, but eventually it all moves to the video, right? And with
Right,
4G, 5G, and all these things, better network capacity coming in, right? So video is going to become the norm of the day, right? And when the video is out there, so for example, you're interacting with someone, right? So you can speak those languages directly, right? There's no need for you to actually no need for you to actually write
right,
something and discuss.
right,
You can directly interact. You can have this specialist talk to you directly on the video, right? So I think vernacular, one large way in which vernacular will move forward is the fact that the video will be the dominating way in which people will interact. And I think Corona has made it anyways to everyone's work style, that we are connected through video, and everyone, every house, every person is working through video itself, right? So that will be the one large point in which it works, right? And that's how social video platforms have become very large in vernacular tier 2, tier 3 cities, because they're all video based. Nobody is
right.
writing content, nobody is writing, Gurumukhi or Malayali or Tamil and trying to express each other what they are trying to say, right? So that's one, and that's how most of the industry will also progress, right? So what we are seeing today is that travel agents, when they are talking to travelers, they are again doing video conferences. And once you are doing video conferences with the travelers, right, there's a lot of conversations which are happening in Hindi and English both, as compared to previous email based conversations where they were just purely English, and
Right.
quality of English was seen as a part of professionalism. But now I think through video trust, etc., is also getting along with the language, which is promoting the vernacular piece, right? So that's one. The second part is, of course, I think as the technology penetration has increased, right? So now, and the base business is ready for a lot of the internet companies, right? So they can easily translate the base business to top next 2 3 languages in the country, so that the customers who use those languages find it much more easier to transact on the to these platforms, right? And only when the technology penetration is to that last level, right, last mile customer, then that last one, and he is attuned to using technology to buy things online in the language which it did, right? So then only he will going to come and buy large product like holidays, etc., online, because now he's attuned himself in. So as that penetration is happening, textual based vernacular content will find its adoption into the mainstream in terms of purchasing, and that will drive the usage for everyone, not just for us but for everyone. And technology, smartphones is going to be the key which is going to enable it up.
Right. So essentially what you're saying that the phase of text-based vernacular will probably be skipped for voice going forward, either in video form or a face-to-face form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go to China, if you have traveled in China, if you've seen there, so most of the people are actually using WeChat and they're actually communicating through voice.
Right.
They're not even typing, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it's happening, because the internet connectivity speed is to the next level. So that's how, as people find it more convenient, they will switch to the next form of consumption of communication, and textual will be eclipsed by voice or video.
Yeah, like we said, we've seen it in the social media, how videos leaked from here or there in different languages. They reach the mainstream so fast, and you know
Yes.
the news before it's happened, even and the media picks it up.
Yes.
So that's the speed of communication. I also read recently in Economic Times, and there's always this thing about millennia, youngsters being more attuned to technology usage, adaptation, etc. But I read this article very interestingly, but perhaps because I fall in that bracket, that the internet penetration and usage with over 55-year folks was 8% overall in all capacity. And during COVID time, it's hit about 35%. And out of that 35% increase, 15% is being used for e-commerce. And we, of course, understand that travel is a large component of e-commerce activity, or if not, would continue once it starts thriving forward. So this usage of 55 and above, which could be even 60 and above or 65 and above, with smartphones or non-smartphone. Do you see this making impact on consumer behavior as far as travel is concerned, where Karthik's father or your father would rather go and get and choose for himself rather than trust a travel agent to choose, or whatever the case may be? I mean, I'm putting it mildly.
So I think if you take from a 10-year perspective, this was bound to happen, right? Because people will move to the next convenience ladder, right? What happened for the people who are at a elder age that than us, then they had their set systems and processes which have delivered results for them for years
Right.
in the past. And then when you get the results, you are typically drawn over those processes. Now Corona has been a level changer, and it has been a game changer for everyone, right? Because now you cannot get out of your house, talk to people, technology for ordering, technology for which you may would have said may not be relevant for on, and there is no need this point of time, right? So that has been the changer. And now as technology adoption has happened, and the visibility and the usability of technology has gone into that segment, obviously they understand how the trust the technology platform. They are now reading up ratings, reviews, etc., to build that trust, and that trust is being leveraged when they're buying up stuff online. So
Right.
as that trust gets built, the processes which were there in the old times before Corona, which were manual nature, moved to the online processes. So let's talk about a very big travel agency who sending the guy at home to build trust, to tell you this is how the option looks, and now they would be comfortable in seeing that guy on video call on Zoom, and hence that's how the transition of their sales process will happen uh, to make sure for them to move to the next level of booking the holiday, and a professional guy now doing on Zoom, and that takes them to the question that are there 10 more professional guys who are sitting and who can give me better holidays? So should I search on Google and then find the best thing? Yes, I can, because I've now used it so much. So you
Yeah.
go on through that try it out.
Yeah, your video, I think, has got stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Your
back.
video.
Sankalp.
Your video went off. Wait. Sankalp, go on. Sankalp, can you hear us?
Is my video creating a
Yeah,
problem?
your video created a bit of problem, but you're back on track, I think.
I'm on.
You're
I
on.
think
Yeah.
I am seeing video disturbance.
I heard what you said, and I defined it actually in 3 phases. I said my father thought that the best travel agent was whose office he visited, sat and had a cup of tea, talked to him at hours and discussed it. To him, that was the best travel agent. He was available to have a cup of tea with him. For me, a best travel agent was that I could call him anytime. I could pick up the phone and talk to him anytime. For my son, who's 25 years old, when I tell him, why don't you talk to XYZ agent when, a holiday, or he said, why do I need to talk to anybody? So I think those are 3 very defining phases that, even the talk has gone out of the window, little. Sankalp?
I think his internet connection is a bit patchy.
You can hear me clearly, you say, but somewhere we've gone.
He's disconnected.
Yeah, you may be trying again. Yeah. Sankalp, you're back.
I guess I think there was discrepancy. Can you guys?
Yeah, can hear you now. You okay?
Hello?
Yeah, Sankalp, you're on. Your video is off. Otherwise, your audio seems okay. Yeah, you're back on track, I think.
I think everyone is now using the bandwidth so much.
Yeah,
that,
that's the fallout. So the other thing, talking about bandwidth, to me, I've been watching the, people keep talking about demand creation, domestic, all that is fine. But I've been actually watching the supply side very carefully. And if I look at the whole product pipeline, to me, that looks like a very disintegrated pipeline. You have a huge inventory of bus, which is not automated. You have railways, which is not automated. You have entrances to Taj Mahal, to Red Fort, etc., which are not online. You still got to queue up. And the only thing which is automated is your GDSs, because air tickets are automated, or hotels in some capacity, right? So the question is, till this whole pipeline end to end comes into place, how do you see this thing? Because it has to ultimately, if you have to reach every nooks and corners of the country, you have to have a well integrated pipeline to package it together. Sankalp?
Yes. So the voice was coming a little late. Yeah. So I think, all of automation and digitalization is the way forward in itself, right? And automation and digitalization is going to happen further. If you see from the Europe perspective, right? So we're talking about vernacular. So there are platforms, because every country has a different language. So now there are platforms which enable people to see all the train bookings in a single language across all the countries, so that they can book the connecting trains very easily, right? So I think that the corona has forced everyone to move to that level of sophistication, in terms of digitalization and automation process. So I would just say that the whole of the system, breaks up into 2 parts. The ticketing piece, right? So when it will be online and assemble a few things, we need to understand how the situation on the ground, etc.
Right.
Because of corona, there might be 5 changes. In scenarios, you need some kind of guidance. You know, you need some kind of guidance to pull those things together to make a great experience.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, you are looking for a total experience, right? So, for example, if I'm going with my
Sankalp, have you gone off? Ah, you're back. Yeah.
Ashish, I am terribly sorry. I think there is
I think
some
the
internet issue
net.
at our place.
Right, right. No, but I think I've got the gist of what you're saying. I have one last questions to ask you because you've been an entrepreneur yourself. And it's a statement I have been making on many of the shows. I said I like to see the next Make My Trip to come out of Shillong or Cuttack or Bhubaneswar. Why should he be coming out of a large city? So what is your message to entrepreneurs, internet driven in the travel industry, who are aspiring from smaller towns to actually develop a model there and fit it into the larger ecosystem? How does that one make that happen? And the second question I have is that when you read up the papers, you read up the media, of course, there is a lot of attention on startups, but I see our travel startups being relegated into a little nook and corner. The attention is on manufacturing or pharmaceutical or education or even food delivery, right? But the travel entrepreneurs are still relegated. Is it because the travel industry is not recognized in the manner it should be? Because at the end, it is the largest e-commerce if you add the railway and the bus ticket to it. So it's really two questions in one. Is your advice to
Yeah.
entrepreneurs from small town? And second is, how do we bring travel entrepreneurship in the forefront of startup ecosystem?
Sure. So I think what is relevant for the guys to grow in these small towns. I think entrepreneurship to begin with is all about passion and finding the right problem. So I would just say that look, if the most of the India's population stays in tier 2, 3 towns and villages, right? That's where innovation is also required. And if there is a ground up problem which people face, which is unique and is problem of millions of people who are traveling out there, then picking that small problem and solving it at a scale makes a very large impact. I give you a random example about it, right? So in tier 2, tier 3 towns, there's a culture of if somebody is going to a foreign country, we ask for them to bring something back, right? Even that
Mhm.
in itself is a good mechanism for people to barter up stuff or earn something out there, right? So if somebody is going to a foreign country and bringing something back for them,
Right.
then of course the guy who is out there, he can pay something extra on top and he can enjoy that stuff, right, which is not even available through imports in India.
Right.
So you know all so you have to find that unique problem which is happening at tier 2, tier 3 level. And since millions of people would be doing it and solving it, and you can easily find adoption by bringing a technical angle and making it easier and
Right.
convenient by multiple times. So that
And
is
then,
one.
then of course, integrating this to a larger platform so that you have one homogeneous system. Yes. Second, please.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
that is the first thing I think any guy who is looking forward to would be focused about problems. All the money, everything comes behind uh, products which are readily adopted by the customer, because that's how monetization happens. You have made
Yeah.
something which people like, so people buy it. As simple as that. The second thing is about segments which are hot and cold, right? I think what happens is that from the market segment perspective, what happens is that every segment has a major disintermediation or a major innovation happening up, right? And every market segment has its time. So for example, pharmaceuticals or anything, right? So as the laws, as the things in the country change, or as the building blocks of new level of e-commerce, right? So 5 6 years back there was no delivery which was easier. Now delivery is like an API.
Mm.
Anyone can deliver anything anywhere. So that's a very big change. Now once that level is established, you can build more business and systems on top of it, right? So that's how businesses happen, and each segment becomes hot basis what is available in the market at that point of time, right? So as the segment becomes hot, as discussion in some of these segments happen, everyone wants to have a piece of cake from that segment, because there would be some company which will take a very largest share and is going to become number one by exploiting uh, that the new advances in technology or supply chain to make a large outcome, right? And hence massive amount of money flows into it. Travel, I think travel has seen is stage one of innovation in yesteryears, right? Where there was Make My Trip, Clear Trip, and Yatra. And I think at that point of time, these were the companies who were leading the show. And still, Make My Trip happens to be one of the largest travel companies which have gone public as compared to current stage startups which have not went up public, right? So travel is a much mature segment from that perspective. And now the new things in the travel are coming up. So if you see from a global perspective, right? So activities is something where multiple companies are growing up and they are finding up their space. Or holidays, more unorganized space. Like holidays is something which things are happening, where things are happening, or aggregating travel agents is something where things are happening across the globe. So all of these segments which are more deeper and more unorganized are something which will attract, because mainstream large innovations have been completed almost a decade back, right? While in other industries they are happening now.
Right.
Uh, Getting medicines at home was not possible in the decade where getting flights online was possible,
Sure.
right? That innovation is happening now, and hence uh, large sums are being seen in those industries. But I think I would say that every business model is unique, everything is unique, and great ideas creating large companies are respected irrespective of what sector it is, because of course there are major number of investors in any segment, right? In public companies also, there are so many public travel companies in India market itself. So you know everything will find a home, but it matters that how quality of a business an entrepreneur has created, and what is the nature and scale of the problem that he is able to solve. And if he's doing that thing right, everything else will follow up. Everything else will follow up into that.
Right. So on a parting thing, I personally feel that this industry, which has been clamoring to be recognized by the government as an industry, which it's still, travel and tourism is still not recognized as an industry. I just get a feeling that this COVID is going to kick it in that direction, because it's always been perceived as a rich man's industry, luxury or travel. And it is now moving towards sorting out basic necessities from one village to another village, and of course being part of a larger e-commerce platform. I think the industry will ultimately find its place in the sun from that direction, rather than in the direction it was taking earlier. And I think there is technology and digitalization, and of course the payment platforms which have come in, which will drive this whole ultimate experience. Shankar, I thank you for coming here today. I know in phases our internet hasn't been very good, but I'm sure the audience have enjoyed hearing you. And we will certainly have a chat in better times once we are able to meet face to face, and maybe on a Zoom one day on a better connection. But thank you for coming. And over to you, Karthik, if you have something.
Yeah, thanks, Sankalp. Just maybe a couple of lines, because a lot of our audience are emerging enthusiast startup entrepreneurs who are a bit disheartened with what's happening right now. So maybe if you have some words of wisdom and encouragement for them, that what should they be doing in current situation, and how they should ride the wave and actually use this opportunity to create something and preempt what's going to happen post corona, and prepare it for it now.
Right. So I think if you see any company, any startup which has to grow, right? So it has to travel a 10-year period. And if you break the century by 10 years, right? Then you will find one large thing happening some year or not. There were world wars to there were economic meltdown to everything which will happen, right? So global meltdown. So 1 in 10 year events are going to come, right? They are going to come early or they are going to come late. That is going to happen. But I think it's the vision of the entrepreneur. And if he knows that this is a large problem and this is going to remain, despite Corona has changed certain problems, but not everything. So how does his problem pre-Corona and post-Corona change, right? And as he has to take a 5 to 6 year view, because if you're an entrepreneur and if you're very small view, then nothing is going to happen, right? So just to keep a 5 to 6 year view, the things will go away. And even today also, right, for small companies, the market is big enough, right? So they can specialize themselves into doing something which is out of the way, and yet create a space for themselves, right? So there's a lot of scope always to find a niche and find a way to survive the organization. And it's good for them. If they are small companies, they have faced it now. If they were larger companies and they would have faced it then it would be a massive problem in their cash flows.
Yeah.
So it's better that
Right.
they have faced it now. They have learned how to conserve cash, and that's a matter of time. There will be a lot of problems. You may not have cash left at all. When we were a young company, everyone used to ask us that these large companies are going to go to an IPO. Who are you guys and what are you going to do? And nobody used to give us any capital to do anything at that point of time. But we had stayed put. We had made our business profitable at a very small stage, right? To make sure that the company survives and things will become better one day about travel, and that happens. Everything is happens in a phase. So I would just say that to small entrepreneurs, to startups, right? If you have an idea and if you think that problem is going to remain very big and that problem has a future, then the only thing which they should remember is that they should keep on chasing it. It's the time when transactions are not happening, so it's better to focus on tech and product. You know, build
Right.
the product with few customers, iterate it many number of times, ask family members what they are doing, how they are going to travel, or some travelers out there, to understand how they are going to travel, and keep on working on their product. It's a good time to save costs on working on the product. And once the product is finished up to the level where it was supposed to deliver, and market comes back, then of course they will also ride up the wave. What comes
Right.
down also goes up.
Yeah.
After every night there is a morning, and then there
Morning.
is a noon, right? So that is bound to happen. So just that how they plan their business, a 5-year journey, is what will matter in the long run.
Great. So I think with this, we are at the end of today's session. Thank you so much, Sankalp, for sharing your views. And I'm sure all the audience members found it really useful. Thanks, Ashish, as always. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. And we'll see you next week with our next guest. Thanks again, Sankalp.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks,
Thank you.
Karthik. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.